What's up, everybody? It's your man's KJ the Great dropping another edition of All Sports Media TV. But first, I want to say I hope and pray everything is great your way. Now, let's get to it. So, wanted to hit you guys with a quick fight recap from this past weekend on the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Hector Luis Garcia card. It was a really, really good fight card. A lot of undefeated fighters that came into the card. A lot of the unexpected. Some of the expected happened. You know, just one of those type of fight cards that was put together really, really well. And it lived up to the hype. So let's just get straight into this card. First fight we're going to talk about is, excuse me, Demetrius Andrade versus Damon Nicholson. It's a really, really good fight, in my opinion. Although Demetrius Andrade, he didn't look his best, but you got to remember he's making his this was his debut at 168 super middleweight, and I believe he's got some room to grow, and he's got to grow a little bit into this division because for some time now, as we all know, he's been calling out the likes of Jamal Charlo, David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, Canelo. You know, he's been clamoring for these big fights for a long time. And this is, a step in that direction, I believe, because they already got the Caleb Plant, David Benavidez fight set up. Canelo's doing his thing. Jamal Charlo, he's supposed to be coming up to 168, but he had a back injury, so we just have to see where that leads him in the future. But although it wasn't his best showing, I believe he's going to get better. I believe he just has to stay active. And, you know, we just have to wait and see what 2023 brings for him. I believe it's going to be an exciting year for Andrade this year. So he's still undefeated, got the unanimous decision. Congratulations on that fight. The next fight we're going to talk about. Woo! Rashidi Speedy Ellis versus Roman Villa. Man, this was it was almost a sleeper fight, in my opinion. Me personally, Speedy Ellis came out. He was showcasing his hand speed, ring IQ. He was moving around, slipping, countering. I mean, he was doing really, really well. I personally believe he won probably at least the first 6 rounds, maybe even 7. That's just what I thought. But the judges saw something different, and the reason they saw something different was because later on in the second half of that fight, Rashidi Speedy Ellis started to slow down, and it was crazy. I was thinking like, hey, if you're gonna slow down, you gotta still be defensively responsible. And he ended up getting caught in one round. He got knocked down, and it was I was like sitting there like, yeah. Oh, he got knocked down. He got caught. That's how it was when it happened, because it just looked like Rashidi was outboxing him, you know. And when he caught him, it was just one of those things. It was like, yo, he caught him. Hey, let's see how this goes. Roman Villa, I give him his credit. The entire fight, he was just coming. He was coming. And after he caught him, you know, he locked up a couple of times, got separated. He was, you know, telling him like, come on, let's go. Then he ended up catching him again. And I was just like, man, what is going on? And you can see it on Rashidi's face. He was tired. His feet started to look a little heavy. His hands were starting to go down a little bit. And this all comes after the press conference from the day before, where him and Ennis had a little spot where they were going back and forth after it was said that, you know, Rashidi was the future of the welterweight division, but people called Jaron Ennis the future of the welterweight division. And how so said Jaron Ennis turned down the fight with Rashidi Ellis. I mean, that was an interesting press conference. It led into this fight, and I mean, Rashidi Ellis took his first loss. The judges, one judge gave it a draw. The other 2 judges gave it in favor of Roman Villa. Me personally, I scored it as a draw, thinking, you know, Rashidi Ellis won majority of the rounds, but the 2 knockdowns could have probably evened it out. And this brings it back to what I was thinking about, like the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder first fight. You know, Tyson Fury, he boxed really well. He was moving around, boxed on the outside, making Deontay Wilder miss. But that 2 knockdowns that he got, I think their first knockdown came around 9. And then we all know that epic knockdown in round 12 that saw Fury get up off the canvas. That kind of evened it out, is, you know, what people were saying. But back to this, I mean, I personally, I would have called it a draw. So, but congratulations to Roman Villa on that win. At some point, I believe they may run it back. You know, we just have to see how that plays out after, you know, sometime, maybe 4 or 5 months, 6 months, whatever the case may be. And don't make this no mistake, people. Just because he suffered his first loss, that does not mean it's the end. You know, all the greats have lost. You know, Ali, Tyson, Lennox, Holyfield, they all lost. George Foreman. But it wasn't the end for him after their first loss, you know. So can he still be great? Yes, he just has to learn from this fight. So now we're going to talk about still undefeated welterweight phenom Jaron Boots Ennis. He took on Karen Chakahadazine. This was just an oddball fight. And I'm saying oddball from both fighters because you would expect, you know, both fighters to come to fight. And I believe just by watching it, it didn't seem like Karen Chakahadazine was willing to engage. I mean, he moved around really well, showed really great footwork. You know, a lot of Ukrainians, they have good footwork, and, you know, they have that extensive amateur background. So he moved around real well, and he boxed a little bit, but it was just one of them things where it just didn't seem like he was willing to engage and trade at any point. But it saw Jaron Boots Ennis win all the rounds. And the reason I say it's oddball on Jaron Boots Ennis' part is because you have to learn how to cut off the ring. You can't just follow him around. He was doing just that. He was flat, following him, not really, trying to cut off the ring, forcing him back whichever way. It just seemed like, you know, he would go this way and Jaron would just follow him kind of like that. It was just one of those things. It was just an oddball look for that fight. But nonetheless, he got the victory. It's still the IBF interim welterweight champion. He still calls for, you know, the Errol Spence fight and such like that. But this fight right here and the Rashidi Ellis fight, I believe it kind of shows that Spence and Crawford, they're levels above where they're at right now. And it's not to say that Jaron Boots isn't getting there or isn't close. It's just I believe he needs a little bit more time. And some of these other guys like, Keith Thurman, he needs to get in there and fight guys like that if that happens. But nonetheless, I believe it's going to be an exciting year for Jaron Boots Ennis. 2023 is just now kicking off. So now we can talk about the main event between Gervonta Tank Davis, 3-division world champion, who simultaneously held the WBA regular WBA title from 130, 135, and 140. We can talk about and he fought Hector Luis Garcia. I'm sorry, people. I'm scrambled brain. Who is now 16 wins, 1 loss, no draws. And he was moving up in weight. But this was an interesting fight for me. Just by the way I seen the so-said official judges scoring cards, they had Gervonta Tank Davis winning, majority of the rounds, which is, I believe he won a lot of the rounds. But I believe it was a little bit closer than what some people were saying. Because Hector Luis Garcia, he boxed really well. He was working his jab really well. You can see marks and everything on Tank Davis. But somewhere in the late, Tank Davis had to figure out how to get in and, not get hit. He was just trying to figure him out and figure out where, to take his shots and everything. He started to land pretty cleanly leading up into the 8th round. And on the end of the 8th round, he caught Garcia. And you can see he was kind of shaking going back into his corner. And they ended up stopping the fight because he wouldn't come out of his corner. The reason they stopped the fight is because he said he couldn't see out of his eye. So he caught him, I believe it was a straight left, and he was blinded pretty much. And so that's all the end of the fight. And what was crazy about that was that, you know, I mean, what's crazy about that is it shows people who don't really understand boxing that Gervonta Tank Davis's power, it carries throughout the entire fight. So, you know, now all roads are pretty much leading to Gervonta Tank Davis versus King Ryan Garcia, which this is a fight that everybody has been wanting to see. They both been going back and forth through social media. They want this fight. One is no longer with Mayweather Promotions. Ryan Garcia, I believe he's still with Golden Boy Promotions. But, you know, it was said that Tank was worried about Ryan Garcia because pictures have surfaced about how his size and how big Ryan Garcia was looking in those pictures, and that, you know, he was worried about him being on PEDs. And so over the weekend, Ryan Garcia, he entered the VADA testing, you know, which is good because that can literally clear the way for April 15th and with no issues. Only issues is, you know, all the promotions, XYZs, how all that goes. So that's all I got for you guys. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at All Sports Media TV. Follow me on my other Instagram at KJTheGreat09. Make sure you like and share these videos. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the like button, bell icon to get all the new notifications. Again, I thank you guys for all the views, all the comments. I try to stay engaged with you guys all the time. You know, keep sharing it. I got some promotional things coming for you guys really, really soon. That's all I got for you guys. Peace.